And remember, if eUnited end up moving on and facing off against Rival, they take that 2-1 series loss that they had in the winner's bracket into that best of 5, which would mean that Rival would only need to win 1 in order to punch their ticket into the finals. But if SSG advance, it's just a full-on best of 5.
That's going to be the big thing here. Into picks and bans we go then for this second game. The real question is, who's first pick, first ban? It's eUnited with the first pick this time.
I like this. I think it's time for, again, the Circuit to go.
It's a Circuit show, isn't it?
It's pretty much. That's the way I feel about this win right now, is Circuit is one of, if not the premier god. I think if I had a choice between Circuit and Chernobog right now, I might go Circuit.
But if Circuit's not available, the default has been RaToSka. I wouldn't say RaToSka's been the be-all and end-all, but he's been the go-to. I've not been a big fan of RaToSka overall. He's been, I want to say 50-50 without even seeing the stats. I feel like he's got a 50-50 win rate.
Yeah, that sounds about right. He's had some great performances. He's had some lackluster ones, and that kind of just lends itself to his kit, right? That sometimes he'll just hard carry the early game, but if he doesn't get that lead, then he's not nearly as effective.
Circuit is the first ban, and then a RaToSka. So all our talk of the junglers, we're definitely going to see some differences here. Chernobog and, of course, Athena. So Thoth available, Giannis, Zhong. Like, I'm just spouting out all the bans that we've seen in the first section.
But here's where I wonder. So this is what some teams kind of fall into the trap of. Artemis being open, that's a good
trap.
first pick.
Hey,
that's good. But now, Spacestation, so Circuit Rat banned away. Spacestation now have the option to just take that third jungler off the board.
Which is?
I think Naja right now is probably third, just based on the fact that Spacestation picked it earlier on. We saw Adapting go to the Naja as well, if I remember correctly, in their set against Rival. I think that Spacestation should prioritize something for andinster here because his level of play has been so good that I don't want to put him on something that he's not ready for here.
Would you rather see Baskin on the Giannis or the Thoth here as well? Because I think that's the option we could see from either side here. It's
dependent on what Andy's going for. If it is the Naja, I think I'd much rather see Thoth because that follow-up is so easy and guaranteed. Giannis also has a good follow-up, though. It's not bad. It's just not quite as strong as what you see out of the Thoth.
I am feeling that Naja, though. We'll see how that works out for them. If they do go for it, they will. Locked in and good to go. Naja for andinster in the jungle, more than likely. I don't like saying it's definitely going there these days because these teams like to try and throw you for a loop.
They do, and I don't think Spacestation should go for their mid laner here because you can wait and see which one eUnited takes, then get the other one. If they're close in your mind, then no need to lock yourself into one.
Maybe
right
Terra?
Here, you go Medusa is probably what I'd be looking at. Depending on that matchup up against Artemis, Terra could also work, and that's where Jeff's going to go.
Yeah, Jeff's going to go back to the Terra again. I mean, he likes Terra. Sylvanas, Terra seems to be the top two that he will always go to if they're available.
Athena.
And Athena, of course, but with Athena banned away here, it now presents an interesting factor for eUnited. There's PolarBearMike on your screen. He had Cerberus last game. I don't know if they run that one back.
No, that seems fairly unlikely that they run that one back. Maybe a Kumakarna is already looking a little bit appetizing here to me.
Especially against Naja, yeah.
Especially against Naja, where Naja has to use ult to get away from him. And Groggy Strike is going to land, basically guaranteed. It's also great with Artemis in lane because it gives her tons of protection, as well as when it's time to go on the offensive, he can set her up for kills really easily.
Definitely a potential kill. And if they look for the Kumakarna, they may not now. They will have a long bank time, obviously, to have a good think about it. And they're taking the time about this because it's an important moment. This is sometimes we see this stage with them where they like to hold off on certain gods with Scream in the jungle and let them get a counter pick option later on.
Yeah, could see that already looking like could be potentially a Bastet game. Naja, once Ring Toss is down, does struggle against Bastet, but with Ring Toss up, doesn't need to worry about those cats quite as much.
Yeah.
Though, remember, Bastet a while ago now had that change to when her cats die, she gets a power buff, and sometimes that's exactly what you need.
You're just tuning in. This is going to be the most interesting thing for you all to listen to. eUnited have put themselves now in a position that they have to win 4 games in a row.
Yes.
Back to back to try and get to the finals tomorrow. This is how difficult it's going to be. They find the 2 wins against SSG, then they're still going to go on and find 2 more against Rival. But if they don't, they lose one of those 4 games in a row. It's game over, sunshine. It's time to pack your bags and go home.
And their reward for winning 4 games in a row is needing to win 2 best of 5s
against
back to back against Energy. So that is the reward that awaits.
So what's that? 10 games they've got to win in 2 days.
Yes.
But that doesn't include dropping games as well, obviously.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it would mean they would need to win. Yes, it is 10. I'm good at math. Yep, I got there.
Zhong is the pick for eUnited here, so more than likely for Benji in the solo lane. He's been going to this quite often. And now SSG, in response to that, locking in the Raijin, something that Baskin has had a lot of play of so far, and probably arguably one of his best performances this land.
Yeah, I'm fine with Raijin. I don't love it with Naja because you don't have that big burst damage off the landing of Windfire Wheels, but Baskin has done such a good job controlling team fights without any setup that I'm fine with this Raijin selection. I mean, I am curious, does eUnited ban Thanatos here? Because it has been the Thanatos into Zhong sort of matchup that we've seen be really, really positive, specifically for Aquarius.
I did hear them talk before, though, that Benji's had to deal with it a few times, so he's been ready for it, so they will know that matchup is available. So we'll find out if eUnited do choose to ban it. They're taking away the Cerberus, though. Even though we didn't think it had the greatest of games, they're unhappy to see eUnited get it here.
No, and I think that Naja can struggle against Cerberus, and that's the risk of picking Naja very early on. It's like, oh, well, it's bad against that. You know, I have trouble with this, I have trouble with that. It's a lot of cards that can really struggle, make you struggle. And yeah, they will ban away the Thanatos, which is almost surprising to me, even though it does seem to be the preferred counter matchup for these two teams. I think a lot of where it gets its value is its surprise factor. And obviously that wasn't going to happen against eUnited. No. But they still feel like it's strong enough to warrant a ban.
SSG then with one more ban still to come. It's going to be the Kumbhakana too, so a bit more focused towards PolarBearMike. And there's a wise ban as well, as we mentioned about this Kumbhakana. Could make a good impact in the duel lane as the game continues.
That's a very smart ban. As Medusa, smart ban from eUnited on their side. So now it'll be up to BaRRaCCuDDa on what he wants to go for. Is Amaterasu locked in for Aquarius.
This is a matchup we've seen against Zhong a few times.
I like it. I like it because it does really punish his immobility very well. That dazzling offensive is so good when you're guaranteeing all 3 hits, and that certainly will happen here for Aquarius. It brings great control to the mid to late game, and they've got enough early game between the Naja and the Raijin where they don't really have to worry about getting bullied too hard in the early stages.
Fafnir then for PolarBearMike, and a Mercury will be the final pick here for Screammmmm. This is a high damage composition that eUnited have here. There is a ton of damage on this roster. Not a massive amounts of front line though. So they're going to have to play very carefully around any poke that Spacestation Gaming look to do.
Yeah, this is a lot of damage, that's for sure. CC is pretty decent as well. Bunch of stuns on their side, but Jing will be the final selection for Spacestation. Surprise, surprise, BaRRaCCuDDa plays Jing, but it's also very good against Mercury because when you use a special delivery and tosses you, that is a long-range agility that you can use out of that and get yourself to safety.
Just dash away back to safety as well then. Spacestation Gaming 1 win away from taking on Rival this afternoon. Do they do it in this one, Ryan, or does eUnited take into a game 3?
I really think this might be Spacestation's. I mean, I don't know. Like I said,
I'm leaning that way too.
Yesterday we saw them play against Energy, or whatever they played against Energy. They looked really good game 1, and then Energy figured them out game 2 and 3. But these two teams have said on each side, whoever comes out and plays better that day, game 1 it looked like Spacestation was playing better today. So we'll see if eUnited wake up a little bit here in game 2.
What do you guys at home think? Makes a chat. Get your vote in now and let us know how you're thinking. Does Spacestation Gaming take this down in 2? Or do the world champions come back and battle on into a game 3? This is a telling game for NA in general, I feel here.
Yes, and this feels almost like a must-win to me for Spacestation. For whatever reason, I've really got this feeling that if they don't win this game, that eUnited's going to end up taking this set because eUnited plays very well with momentum. So I wouldn't, if I'm on Spacestation, I'm not lounging back and saying, yeah, you know, we've got to win 1 out of the next 2. I'm dedicating everything to end it here.
And on top of that, whoever, like I said, we keep saying it, Rival plays the victors of this game today, this set between the two. It's an important one. And honestly, I wouldn't like to be Rival in this spot anyway, just because these two teams will be warmed up, whatever happens.
Yes, very warm, no matter what. I think both of these guys have as many veterans as you could possibly have at this point.
It's time to get to the casters then. Spacestation Gaming are 1 win away from moving on.
Thanks a lot, Graham. Thanks a lot, Aggro, I guess. F-Tot and Taco here on the cast. eUnited, Spacestation Gaming, and I agree with Aggro here that Spacestation is probably just looking like the better team. But Taco, in between game 1 and our game right here, I went out and I talked to some of the players, and I asked why so serial, what they're feeling, and they were like, 2-0. Well, And at this point, the draft was halfway done, and eUnited had Thoth, Artemis, and Zhong, and they were very impressed.
The thing for me here on this is that, sure, it might be whoever comes out and plays better on the day, and yes, Spacestation did look overall better than eUnited, but I can't help but feel a large part of that was also just eUnited having limited themselves so heavily with this high execution composition in comparison to Spacestation. And now, second time around, this feels a little bit more well-rounded and easier to pull off in terms of just overall team fighting success, because eUnited were just struggling to break through Spacestation's front line.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, it's really tough for these teams to do so. But you know what? I mean, that SSG competition was high execution as well.
I
mean, the
don't
whole
think it was the same
extent.
extent.
The whole Neith-Circuit thing, right?
No, because with those hunters, sure, you have the Petrify and the World Weaver to work around, but those hunters can keep engaging over and over and over again. We've been seeing a lot of these types of drafts from Space Station, in fact, where they don't necessarily go for those heavy high burst comps right away, but they are compositions that are very easy to pull off in the sense that all you need is to connect one or two of the abilities, and you've got everything you were asking for.
For sure. This time around, I think this is the classic give it to the jungle.
I got a better way to break it down. It's just, they're not playing around their ultimates. They're playing around their entire kit of abilities.
Yeah, there you go.
And eUnited were playing around pretty much their ults.
Yeah, for sure. And he's going to miss the sash right there. And Scream's going to miss his major look. So, eye for an eye, I suppose. Heavy contestation over these right side Harpies. They will go to Space Station, but yeah, I think game number 2 is different. I think game number 2 is about the carries in the jungle. Andy on the Naja, Scream on the Mercury. Can they bring a victory to their squad, right?
Scream maybe in a little bit of trouble here. Andy's still looking to play aggressive, and that's the type of gameplay that you expect to see at higher levels. The way that Scream immediately spreads apart from Venenu once that ring toss connects, so it's as limited bounces as possible.
PandaCat here trying to protect his support player. And there's Andy one more time in the enemy jungle. Scream's going to find the wrap, but the beads is good from Andy. Scream trying to find the follow-up damage and just brings Andy down to half HP.
Andy might have died there had it not been for the usage of those purification beads. Yeah. Even though Naja is notorious for having heavy pressure early on, there is still some concerns if you get caught out only having the ring toss and the sash. And with the ring toss being on cooldown, there's really no escape.
JeffHindla now jumping on top of PandaCat. Sprint's going to be popped. PandaCat is in trouble. Beads after the stun. The knockup is good, but not going to be quite enough. PandaCat on his signature Artemis gets lucky there. Doesn't fall down.
And this is going a little bit more the way that we were kind of aiming for in the solo lane last time around. Benji with a very decent lead over Aquarius in terms of health.
Uh-oh. This is trouble. Scream's only level 3, but can certainly make an impact here, but not if he's caught out. And I think Space Station Gaming just saw him with their eyeballs. No wards or anything. I think Scream just poked around that corner a little bit too far, Taco.
I also feel like this Jing Wei pick happened as a result of Scream being on the Mercury, because you want a way to escape from the special delivery, and Mercury, if you're looking for that setup, man, you're not going to be able to find it onto the Jing Wei.
That's true. That's true. You are able to agility out once he throws you, so certainly a look that BaRRaCCuDDa is going to be thinking about. Benji here this time around with Zhong instead of Aquarius. Aquarius opting for the Amaterasu. A low pressure pick. We spoke to the European teams and watched their games. It was all about that pressure, but Amaterasu, kind of the opposite of a pressure character.
Amaterasu happens, so eUnited doesn't get to take it for themselves, I feel, because Benji's Amma is still a force to be reckoned with. Arguably, probably the best Amaterasu in the solo lane for any region.
PolarBearMike also likes to play in the support role every now and then. But still, the lack of pressure certainly a little surprising, comparatively speaking, to what we've seen thus far on the winner's bracket side of the tournament. Left side, Hunter duel, PandaCat and BaRRaCCuDDa now. I mean, Artemis versus Jing Wei. How does this matchup go, Taco?
Sometimes people like to refer to Jing Wei as like the better version of Artemis, but that's maybe only applicable in the late game areas. Early on, I would probably still favor Artemis for the raw 1v1 just because of that crit passive. Bear in mind that this isn't 5.13 patch. This is still on the previous patch where they're playing with Artemis having that crit passive, and it is threatening. And that's why look at all the respect BaRRaCCuDDa is giving to PandaCat. So you have two very late game hunters here, but one of them just has a much stronger power curve from mid to late than the other.
It's so funny how the game changes so drastically over time, because Artemis has had very little change to her kit historically, and Season 1 was the latest of late game hunters, no pressure whatsoever, and now in Season 5 we just know better, and we see that crit passive and how one extra minion killed quicker can drastically change the pressure in a lane.
Also helps out a lot that supports are just spending more time in general over in the duo lane, so those picks that weren't necessarily as favorable, like the Artemis, because of their low mobility, are actually able to be made to work as Aquarius tries to be a little bit cheeky there, looking for the steal away onto Benji's blue buff, but will end up coming up short on that one, as now 3-man grouping in the mid lane. And here Scream starting to charge the Sonic Boom, but only because he's looking to protect his jungle.
Oh, nice dodge. Andy using the beads anyway. Stun coming out from the support won't be good enough. Andy takes Scream to the sky. 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot. Needs the follow-up damage, and Baskin's there to bang the drum. First blood for SSG.
Scream knew the moment that he went up into the air that he probably wasn't going to survive landing down. Same could be said for Baskin in this moment. Benji going to end up taking out the Raijin. Andinster just so low on mana. That's going to be a double kill for the Zhong, and he's still looking for more.
Aquarius is still here, dashes forward looking for PBM. Benji going to finish off his triple kill almost undoubtedly. Venenu says, no, I'll take that one. Share the wealth, homie.
He needed one of them. Pretty huge kill bounty, though, for Venenu in that mid lane. Baskin just fell so early on in that engagement after what looked like it was going to be a promising power play for Spacestation. That rotation out of Benji completely changed everything.
Yeah, Benji made a huge impact there, quite obviously, with the double kill. Scream here gonna try and fix what was just lost, because what a big swing that was for Benji and eUnited.
Look at that life RNG there for Aquarius. Benji probably should have had the steal for that, but the ring toss ended up being just a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, and that play comes out because Space Station Gaming has looked for those right side back harpies time and time again. They've gone there every single time it's come up. This time eUnited was ready, and that's the adaptation that you want to see out of these teams. Andy with the ring toss, he's really leveraging his camp clear speed, looking for those repeated invades, but like I said, eUnited was just waiting there this time.
My favorite part of that entire engagement, though, oh, hold that thought, because Scream's going to end up Sonic booming away from danger, but that's going to be one ult already expended. Benji still trying to poke out JeffHindla even further, but now it's all about Scream being in a lot of danger, ends up losing half of his health to that ring toss.
And Andy with the ultimate up was a big threat, so Scream's going to have to run away, but Andy looking for the back harpies one more time. Scream will get them and walk to the left side of the map. Now Andy wrapping around, looking for this play on the mid laner, who's extremely threatening right now, but opting instead for the farm.
Venenu's just able to play so far up as long as PolarBearMike is beside him, because they knew andinster was trying to harass Scream. That opens up some aggression in mid, and Space Station, once they recognize that Baskin was under a little bit of duress, start trying to rotate over for the rescue.
Just about 9 minutes in. We got a tie game. Nice back and forth so far, and like I mentioned, the adaptation out of these teams is really fun to watch. Space Station had a strategy, and eUnited recognized it within 5 minutes, and were able to sort of answer, take a team fight, and then take back what Space Station had been stealing from them for those 5 minutes.
Going back to what I was originally trying to say, though, actually, andinster and Benji just trying to say hello. 3-man grouping now from eUnited. Aquarius going to be made the new target here. Fafnir Hammerstone is going to be good. The body blocks are even better out of Scream, and he started charging the Sonic Boom. He wants this pick, but it's just too risky to take.
Benji just really wanted that blue buff. The invade goes the way of eUnited. Amaterasu will have to go back to base. Teleport's available. So she won't miss too much.
I almost want to give up on what I was even trying to say in the first place. Because every time I want to start, it just something new happens. I just wanted to say that Andy using his beats off of a missed sonic boom.
Yeah.
It's just that level of threat, though, of expecting Scream to hit all of his abilities. That comes from having to play against somebody numerous times.
Yeah, you know that Scream's going to hit that most of the time. And so you're just expecting it and anticipating it. And you don't really get a chance to react. I mean, Sonic Boom is so fast that you can't tell if it's going to hit you or not. You just go, he's winding up, and I got to swing.
It was like Andy couldn't believe that he had actually chuked it out because he backpedaled just a little bit from it and still winds up using those beats, just maybe thinking differently. As now Venenu going to try and steal those left mid harpies instead. PBM, a little bit too close for comfort. BaRRaCCuDDa also having lost his purification beats to what seems like just some really nice placed trap out of PandaCat.
Yeah, PandaCat's been peppering this, been peppering everything, or peppering the map rather, with that trap. And as Doug, our spectator, points out, Scream used the ultimate, so he won't have that available for a little while. Spacestation Gaming looked like they wanted to start up the Gold Fury even, but quickly walked away from that one.
I was almost expecting Scream to look for a special delivery onto andinster there. And it is also important to note that Scream went for the stone-cutting sword first and foremost. Typically, you see Mercury jungles picking up that hasten katana so they can keep their auto attacks on top of you and make sure to stick to their targets a little bit better. Stone cutting's going to pack way more of a punch, no pun intended, but you also have to bear in mind that Scream will not be able to stay on top of whoever it is he's trying to fully commit to.
Right. There's two schools of thought when it comes to Mercury. Perhaps more, but two main schools of thought. One is the hasten katana, just I'll punch you down over a long distance, and you'll see that when Mercury's playing into particularly tanky characters. Whereas Scream's going the, I'm going to crit you for over 1,000, and hopefully it just takes one more shot after that. So this is the pure burst rather than the extended burst that we see sometimes, which honestly has become more popular. But in the past, this straight up stone cutting into crit, 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 that's the old style school of thought that I think is still relevant, and Scream looking to just blow people up.
Once he starts getting some of that crit online, he will begin doing just that.
Also, I think it's to combat what Andy's been doing here in these back harpies. Andy's ability to just steal camps because of the camp clear speed with the ring toss. Going the stone cutting sword early, he's going to be able to clear the camps quicker with just a made you look, and that might deter Andy from looking for those repeated invades.
Certainly something to keep in the back of your mind, because those back harpies, they really start to add up. They're up every single minute, and that is not allowed a downtime to work with. So if you are late by even a second, that could be the end of it.
Also, Stoner Sword going to help here when you're looking for the Gold Fury. Just bigger damage. JeffHindla's in the neighborhood, but he's not going to have a chance. eUnited with the surprise Gold Fury. And Spacestation probably Gold Furious about that one, because eUnited just decided, hey guys, you want to go get it? Yes, and they took it. There wasn't a conversation, there wasn't a kill, there wasn't really anything that set them up for that. eUnited just decided it was time.
It's just the burst damage between the two. andinster are going to turn right back around onto Scream, look for that ultimate, and now Scream on the run, won't even have a chance to charge that sonic boom to get away. andinster finds the last hit, and Scream, just so much regret in a single moment.
Yeah, I mean, he was looking for the kill on Andy. Naja's turnaround potential is really, really strong. Not only does the sash give you immunity frames, which didn't even come into play there, but Naja can be in a 1v1, take a player to the sky, and then just give out the warning call. By the time he comes down, it's a 2v1. And whoever he brought to the sky is just sitting there like, all right, man, what do I do?
I love that as soon as andinster pulls off the ult, you just see Aquarius immediately dashing forward, ready to back up his jungler. And that is something else that we've also been seeing a lot of between these two, is just their synergy and their level of trust to connect.
Yeah, you know, I didn't even see it during the regular season. Not in the summer split. This is, maybe during the last week we saw things come together. Scream looking for the right side a second time, opting away from it. But that's been, I think, one of the other kind of complaints or criticisms about Space Station's team is that they've been sort of Dignitas-esque, where they look to one player to sort of carry the game, and that synergy, that teamwork isn't always there, but I'm seeing it now. Andy and Aquarius have been really working well together. andinster in general has been catching a decent amount of flack this entire season, specifically during the online portion, for being inconsistent, and I think that some of those inconsistencies are pretty heavily attributed to the fact that he was sacrificing his own farm just to make sure that Baskin could be elevated further ahead. Sure.
But there is a certain point where you have to just decide, I'm going to play selfishly for once, and I think that we've been seeing a little bit more of that throughout this LAN.
Exactly. You know, I think it's really a great point to show you the difference between teams, because we've been celebrating, adapting. Well, hold this thought. Scream looking for a fight in the middle lane. Scream has the ultimate primed and ready, wraps up two, Venenu takes advantage of it. Andy goes down. PolarBearMike trying to get some damage on a Baskin in the ultimate, who takes down Venenu. 1-for-1 so far, Andy 4v. Now, Baskin low, PandaCat from the left-hand side. Tusky comes out and puts Baskin down. 2-for-1, eUnited winning this fight again.
PandaCat was just throwing out the board for extra good measure. Now, uncontested pretty much on this Pyromancer. Aquarius thinking about working his way in there, but it's too little too late. Even over the wall, won't be able to find it because that Pyromancer has already fallen in eUnited's favor, much like that team fight in mid.
Yeah, still a close game, but eUnited have absolutely taken the lead.
And all of that because Andy doesn't get the ultimate onto the target. It was beadsed out, so he winds up short, and that's the difference that a connection with a Najah ultimate can make. It's the risk versus reward factor.
Scream also with a fantastic ultimate. eUnited, or excuse me, Space Station, not really thinking about it. And I think Scream hit 3 separate players with the Sonic Boom, which Venenu just looked at the guy and put him down, maybe even with a basic. The player on the left side was pretty low. Andy shows up, gets the bubble off of Venenu. So important, because that Magi's Cloak is, it might as well say, no tier, no Najah. That's what that item really does, is make Najah and tier players really mad. So if you are playing one of those characters, like Andy's playing Najah in the jungle right now, you've got to consistently be looking for the strippage of that bubble.
But what I'm looking at here, FDOT, is PandaCat, who has just been whittling away with this lead. BaRRaCCuDDa going to lose those purification beats. Takes a katana, though, allowing Scream to stay right on top of him, and that's the threat involved with the Mercury. No time to think. You just have to try and react, and BaRRaCCuDDa unable to get the airstrike off in time.
Surgical, too. Really, really, really precise. One of the things that you need to balance really hard when you're playing Mercury is to get that ultimate in long enough, right, that you have the range on somebody, but overshooting, if Scream overshoots that, PandaCat can't finish off by himself. He needed the special delivery and a shot or two from the Mercury player. So if Scream overshoots that ultimate, all of a sudden, that's not a dead hunter. Very important that Scream lands that as precisely as he does to set up Max.
Benji, though, in a whole world of trouble here. Might have bit off a little bit more than he could chew, but this could be andinster suiciding on those thorns if he's not careful. They're dropping everything onto the Zhong and he's still alive.
Oh my goodness, big enough for the team to show up as well. Andy hanging on by the skin of his teeth. And BaRRaCCuDDa stunned underneath the tower. But Taco, the big conversation was Benji was just zoning so his team could get another gold Fury. eUnited pick up the big one. eUnited pick up the tier 1 tower. eUnited looking for the tier 2 tower. And eUnited looking for a game 3.
They are just making their rampage down the mid lane, and Space Station forced to try and respond to it. This could be bad news bears, though, for PolarBearMike, as he ends up falling incredibly low, still sticking in there for the moment, but BaRRaCCuDDa managed to catch up just in time. Now it's all about PandaCat, but Sonic Boom just rips through the center of the team fight.
And the crits as well. Poison Star good enough to enable PandaCat to take down one, but Baskin answers back and puts PandaCat back down. Scream takes care of Baskin, but Aquarius bounces back. It's a 2 for 3 so far in SSG's favor. But eUnited already did the damage. 6K in the lead. SSG going to get 500 gold from the tier 1, but just a drop in the bucket.
So much mayhem in that mid lane brawl just now, and Benji does have that ultimate available, which is going to force the last 3 standing members of Space Station to back off. No reason to chance it underneath that T2. I'm fairly confident that Benji would have just wound up with a triple kill had they stayed any longer.
Scream wrapping up BaRRA. That's the interaction we spoke about earlier. Jing into the Mercury, never a bad look. Costs of her ability to get on out of there. But that's an exchange that eUnited go really deep and expend a lot of their resources because they know that, you know, even if Space Station like totally get us, there's not much to get on the map, right? If there's only 2 or 3 people up for SSG, they can't go for the Fire Giant, and that's the only available objective. Gold Fury's down, the tier 1 tower doesn't really matter at 20 minutes in the game, so eUnited are willing to go that deep and willing to go that hard because what you gonna do about it, Space Station?
They did manage to win that team fight. As soon as PolarBearMike goes into the detransformation, and I think that kind of forced a little bit of a hesitation factor for eUnited. Also, speaking of which, we've seen this one before. This time they're trying to make it for real. Benji going right in.
Come Scream. Ultimate up the right-hand side, and Aquarius gonna deal with 3 separate players on the back line. PolarBearMike finds an ultimate, and Venenu will dash away. Baskin finds the drums, and Benji in a big pit of trouble. Separated from the team thanks to Baskin with the taunt drums. But now eUnited relatively low, and the guys from eUnited threatening the push. Aquarius surrounded and pounded, and Scream puts him down. One more time, the solo leader sits, and eUnited will look for the tier 2 on the right side this time.
BaRRaCCuDDa is trying to run back into this fight with that Jing passive, but he realizes he's not going to be able to make it in time. It's a clean 4 for 4 right now for Space Station if they want to try and fight this. And BaRRaCCuDDa did manage to get full health again, but the objective shred from eUnited is just too strong. They are dropping everything before Space Station has a chance to come back from base.
Mercury and PandaCat both have access to incredible amounts of attack speed, and they're going to be able to chew through these objectives. You see Scream went into the Hastened Katana right after the Stone Cutting Sword, but now going more defensive. This is odd. We see some characters like Ratatasker go defensive in the jungle. Thor and Fafnir come to mind as well. But Mercury is really almost always pure offensive with a Magi's Cloak, maybe. But here's the second item.
This is the anti-Naja itemization route that eUnited is starting to lean towards. You've got Venenu with a Magi's Cloak, Scream now with a Magi's Cloak. PandaCat probably doesn't even need a Magi's Cloak. He might buy one in that last item slot just because he can. I don't think that would be very necessary. Andinster, if he wants to try and find an ultimate on PandaCat, it's going to have to come from a blink ult, raw engage, because the turn and burn potential from PandaCat is just way too insane to deal with. Space Station don't even have time to respond to this Fire Giant.
No, not at all. That's the attack speed I was talking about. eUnited, 5 players strong. Aquarius going to be aggressed on by Scream, but damage is low, as I said, building relatively tanky. Down to half HP is the Amaterasu, and that'll do it. PandaCat off the assist in the jungle. Wrapping up JeffHindla. He ain't got no beads. He ain't got no life. Double make that trip for PandaCat. The right side Phoenix going to be aggressed on. 40, 30, and 50 for the 3 members of Space Station Gaming. Baskin bites back, puts down the Hunter, but with Baskin low and andinster in the ground, this will be a game 3.
One by one, they were just destroyed throughout. Space Station, no time to react even, no time to even process what just happened there. I'm still having a little bit of trouble myself, realizing how quickly this game just fell apart for Space Station.
Very, very, very clean here from eUnited, and I think that's really what a lot of people expected. That's what I expected from eUnited, and it was kind of fun watching Game 1 go very clearly in one favor, Game 2 go very clearly in the other. Game 3 better be back and forth.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but this has felt like a battle of the drafting stage to me. I don't think that it's been an issue, so to say, with the in-game process. I think that it has definitely just been a dependency factor on who gets the more ideal composition.
Looking at Aquarius, they're not happy. Aqua had his head in his hands after the after that match. I don't think I didn't like the Amaterasu effect, how it worked out in the game. I don't think he was happy either. And Spacestation Gaming looking forward. You mentioned it. Might have to assess their picks.
I saw a little bit of promise from the Amaterasu. That one fight in mid where Spacestation actually gets to pounce back into eUnited right after they take the T2 tower. The Amaterasu looked awesome in that moment because they had the chase down, the movement speed off of the Amaterasu passive for the whole team. That allowed them to catch up and capitalize off of that over-aggression from eUnited. It's just that it wasn't frequent enough, or consistent enough, I should say, to really be efficient enough.
And for me there, that was Naja hit the sash, hit the ring toss, and everybody was slowed. They would have caught up anyway. I don't know. Rough look right there for Space Station Gaming. eUnited step up. Somebody gets the MVP. We posed that question to y'all out there in Mixer Chat. And for now, we'll toss it back to Hindu Man on the desk.
Thank you so much, Tom and Taco. Well, 2 games down so far between these two, and both teams in each of the games they won, they look convincing.
Yes, both very convincing. And that's to be expected, kind of. I mean, like I said, when you're scrim partners with a team, you figure out how to beat them, and you can really take it to them pretty easily. Scream, man, what a game from him. His Mercury disruption was there, damage was there. He played so well.
Myself, Finch, and Anatoly are all watching this in the back room, and I'm like, listen, that composition United's got there is like, you focus one of them, the others will kill you. So it's so tricky to try and deal with so much high burst damage available from multiple targets. And when Benji's in your face the whole time, he's the one that you're going to end up wanting to try and take care of.
And that's the problem. I think this has been a historic problem for Space Station, is that their target selection and engage tools aren't always perfect. And how many times did Aquarius solo ult Benji, and even Andy ulting Benji? You're just not going to kill him. Not with the amount of damage that they were lacking, and that was just kind of the downfall for Space Station here, is that Benji was frontlining too well.
It's going to be the Mercury with the MVP vote, according to the viewers in Mixer Chat. They believe he had a good game, and rightly so. Scream with the record for himself, and we're watching it from Panda's point of view because these sonic booms, they're hard to track sometimes.
They are, man. Scream played so well. He had the one ult in mid when Space Station feels like they've got something going and everything's starting to turn their way. Scream dissects that team fight really well. Picking off Aqua twice. This was bad pathing by Aquarius. That was really rough. And then he gets picked again at the beginning of that final siege for eUnited. He's got to be more careful than that.
If you're looking at Scream right now, that's exactly what a ranked jungler should do. If you win a game and you're in the queue for the next one, just sit back in your chair and relax, knowing that you did everything you could for your team in that one. I do think Scream has had the best jungle performances, period, outside of everybody here this weekend.
Yeah, he's been really, really good.
Even though his team's not found the victories overall, I think he's had a solid performance.
Andy as well, though, has looked very good. This was the first game where I think Andy really fell short, but even then it wasn't horrible by any stretch. It's just that the picks that were around this Naja, when you're picking Naja, you have to understand that the enemy team is going to go a plethora of Magi's cloaks because it's the best way to stop a Blink ultimate.
Sure.
So you need to pick something that could easily strip away those Magi's bubbles, whether it's a Ganesh silence that you're not committing too much with, or a Bologna disarm, something that can pop those bubbles easily from a distance. Space Station didn't have that, and as a result, Andy had a really limited ult targets. He could never really ult Venenu because of that bubble.
Well, you just saw Space Station on the screen there. Not much talking going on that side at the moment. I don't think they're very happy with that performance overall. Obviously, slipping down there. They would have liked to find the 2-0 as quick as possible here today. But now they find themselves on match point either way. Whoever wins this next game, eUnited or Space Station, will advance to take on rival.
I mean, I said it before that game. I just had a feeling. It feels to me like eUnited is a team that holds momentum better than Space Station does.
Did say that.
And I'm worried. If you're a Space Station fan, I would be concerned because I think eUnited is in a pretty good spot. The good news, if you are a Space Station fan, is that they get elected to go first pick, and first pick has won each of the first 2 games of this set.
Ah, interesting. We'll see how this works out then, because the picks and bans have definitely been something to talk about between those 2 games as well. Some interesting things in game 1 with the Cerberus early on picks, and then that game we've seen this Amaterasu coming through.
Yeah.
Solo lane, or at least those specific picks are the ones that are interesting. These fringe picks seem to be struggling.
A little bit struggling for sure, at least for the Amaterasu. The Cerberus, I wouldn't describe as fringe necessarily, but I guess in support it kind of can be.
Yeah.
So it definitely struggled there for PBM, who looked very, very good on that Fafnir. He got so many fights started with really good hammers. He baited himself really well. had the one unfortunate de-transform timing in mid where he got summarily punished,
Sure.
but that's where Scream came dissecting to the team fight.
I mean, skill shots are always important for supports too. Landing those pulls on Sylvanas or those hammers on a Fafnir. You find that first 1 or 2 and get a rhythm going, you're really going to get things good for your team
Yep.
in the game, in the clinical, important moments too.
Huge.